Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics They're Bad For You, or if you're watching this on BitChute, the name of my BitChute channel is Comic Freak. Today we're going to be talking about how a High Republic author pitches Palpatine paternity patch. Apparently one of the Disney Star Wars story group writers decided to try and retcon the retcon once again, and we'll be talking all about it as we get into this article, and it's really quite funny because it doesn't do anything but make it even worse. Because it doesn't solve the problem. Rey is still basically the daughter of Palpatine, and she probably still got her Force powers due to Palpatine. So she still owes her existence and powers to him. So there's no way Rey came from ordinary folks who are nothing. She came from royalty. Literal royalty. Now let's get into this article. The Disney era of Star Wars propagated the myth that some sort of royal bloodline was needed to use the Force. Apparently clueless SJWs viewed the Skywalkers as royalty of some sort, but this of course was always incorrect. Lucas explained the following in a 1981 Revenge of the Jedi story conference. Now they're going to say that everybody can use the Force in this story conference, but even though George Lucas himself said that, if you remember the prequels, it all had to do with midichlorians, and basically having a higher midichlorian count made you a Jedi, or at least capable of being a Force user. So, what George Lucas says basically contradicts the fact of the midichlorians, because if what he said was true, then that would mean that everyone had high midichlorian counts, and that would mean anyone could be trained in the Force. But yet in the Phantom Menace and in the Clone Wars, in the prequel, it was established that only people with high midichlorian counts can learn the ways of the Force. But let's see this story and see how George Lucas explained it originally. Kasdan, the Force was available to anyone who could hook into it. Lucas, yes, everybody can do it. Kasdan, not just the Jedi. Lucas, it's just the Jedi who take the time to do it. Margrand, they use it as a technique. Lucas, like yoga, if you want to take the time to do it, you can do it. But the ones that really want to do it are the ones who are into that kind of thing. Also, like karate, also another misconception is that Yoda teaches Jedi, but he is like a guru. He doesn't go out and fight anybody. That's how, George Lucas explained it back in the 80s, but George obviously came around to the idea that only special people could use the Force, but now they're going back to the original premise of it and saying that everybody could use the Force, even though we don't see anyone else but people who are Force sensitive use the powers, right? But no, the SJWs see this as that the Skywalkers are royalty. Now, they're not royalty, but they are Force sensitive users. And George Lucas pretty much confirmed that when he basically made the midichlorians part of canon. But here he's just saying that anybody can use the Force, and that has its own merits. But the thing is, the way it's been written, that means the Skywalkers are basically just special, who work out with their special talents. But to the SJWs, that's basically anathema, because the idea of hard work to them is basically, something they want nothing to do with. And even if midichlorians didn't exist and the Skywalkers weren't special, they still wouldn't be royalty because they'd have to work for what they'd wanted, and that is something the SJWs also hate. This is why the SJW viewed the Force as requiring some sort of royal lineage, because that's how they view metocracy. The SJW wants things to be given to them without having to do any of the work for it. If you deny them of this, then they claim some sort of imaginary discrimination. But this is the kind of revisionism that takes place so that the SJW can then delude themselves into thinking that they're making great waves of change. In some civil rights struggle, for instance, they amusingly talk about something called democratizing the Force. So the idea of even if they were ordinary people who could use the Force powers, they would never be able to use it because to the SJW, hard work in mastering something like the Force would be beyond them. So they say democratizing the Force, meaning that they should get those kinds of powers without the need to be working hard because they're stupid, and the idea of such the thing to them as working hard is basically going to give them heart attacks. So they love the idea that Rey was born from nobodies because that means that anyone who without having to work hard could be strong in the Force. Now this guy here, he liked the idea of that, so he wants to square it in the stupidest way possible with the rise of Skywalker. From Kevin Scott, have just worked out how to square clone Palps with Rey. Nobody, so both work. Now just got to persuade someone at Lucasflim to let me write it. Here are some more tweets from Kevin Scott. Of course I need to read Rey's novelization to make sure my theory holds water. He then says, okay, as everyone's asking, and as long as you realize this is not official, it's me being a fan and coming up with a theory. I'm not Lucasflim here, so A, don't hold anyone to anything, or B, shout at me. God, you don't want criticism, huh? Well, then maybe you shouldn't go telling anyone your stupid ideas that no one will possibly like. So get ready to be criticized because you have a stupid idea here and no one is ever going to actually buy it because it's so blatantly obvious why it wouldn't work. But what's surprising here is that you don't realize your own idea won't work because he wants to explain to us that, well, Palpatine's clone was a nobody because it had no force powers. Therefore, Rey comes from nobody, but it was still the clone of Palpatine. So it still has Palpatine's DNA, which means it was always going to be force sensitive, or at least someone in the lineage was going to be force sensitive. So your idea is complete and utter bull, you pathetic moron. And he wants us to buy that the fact that Rey still comes from nobodies, but that theory is complete bunk now. Here's another statement from Kevin Scott where he actually tells us his theory. Palps wants a clone, but you can't clone strengthen the Force. Clones get curled. One survives, escapes, has Baby Rey. Baby Rey is strong in the Force not because of her blood, but because of her spirit. Continued. Therefore, she really is a nobody, as her father was a rejected, and B, her powers are because of her, not because of the Palpatine DNA in her body. I'm just saying that. She wasn't part of his plan. Maybe she was part of the will of the Force. She's faced with him, told she's his. She rejects this 100%. But still, she is his. She was born from his DNA. She is his daughter, you stupid idiot. None of what you just said makes sense because she got her Force powers from Palpatine because she is a Palpatine. She is as royal as you can possibly get because she is the daughter of the Emperor, otherwise known as the Dark Lord of the Sith, you stupid, pathetic idiot. So none of what you just said actually counts at all. Of course, none of this would matter since she would still contain Palpatine's DNA and she wouldn't exist at all were it not for Palpatine's clone. So no matter what Pritchell-like logic one might try to shape this god-awful narrative into, at the end of the day, Rey still owes her very existence to a man, and that is quite true. And yes, the way this guy basically put his theory together, trying to square the fact that what was said in The Last Jedi to what was said into the final movie in the Disney trilogy, completely comes off as complete and utter crackery. I mean, I guess it should be expected from someone who, well, works for the Star Wars story group, because obviously none of these guys have ever come up with anything that would be a logical explanation before. You can see this in their writing because it's either complete and utter crap or it makes no damn sense at all. Because none of these people have any idea what Star Wars is actually made of. Or what made it popular in the first place. The used galaxy where you see dozens of people running about their lives in a fantastical setting, but basically still being real people. In a used setting where people use ancient technology that can still be used to fly through space. Where you see ancient space wizards with glowing swords made of energy. And you have men who have the ability to grift from one job to another as criminals or heroes in the galaxy far, far away. They don't realize any of this stuff. All they see are the surface details, and they want a girl to be the bestest ever, who can do everything. That's what SJWs want, something that is totally not even remotely in the real world. And this is why it will fail, because this isn't Star Wars. Star Wars is a universe full of wonder and imagination, but what they have here is not. And that's why these movies will fail, because they have nothing that anyone would want to watch in them. If you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube is going around unsubscribing people. So make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. Then go over to Library and BitChute and subscribe to my channels on those two websites. They're both named Comic Freak. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit that like button and leave some comments down below. Now please share this video, share it on Twitter, share it on Reddit, and share it on Facebook. Share it anywhere you think it'll do the most good, because YouTube is not going around promoting their own YouTube creators anymore. So please share this video. Now listen closely, it's that time of the day again, it's plug-in time. Keep checking back in all my future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.